name was Deborah France.
It's doing it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's doing it or not? I can see it's a red dot in there.
Yeah, it's
That's right.
The light.
okay. So I always wondered how she knew so much about this stuff, because I didn't. I came in and I was just doing it to get a trade, but she could just rattle this stuff off top of her head. She was amazing, the amount she knew. But she knew that I was doing work, that I was kind of looking into stuff on my own. So she told me she wanted me to look at something. So she told me about something called, well, let's start with this, the way to find it. So these are the internet only manuals. Okay. It's the IOM. So the best way to find this is just go to Google, CMS, IOM, COS space IOM, and the very first link it should pull up for you will be the CMS website, take you right to them. Almost anything you want to know about the CMS program, the Medicare program, Medicare Advantage, hospital billing.
Everything. It's called Pub 100.
Yes, Pub 100.
All manuals.
And would you say 5,000 pages?
I don't know. It's a shit ton.
It's like
The manuals are then carved up into specific manuals. Like there is a manual on managed care, period. There is a billing manual, period. There is, and so each one of these manuals, so Pub 100 is cut up into manuals, and then the manuals are cut up into manuals. 5,000 pages, I think, is a conservative.
Yeah, I figured it would hit at least 5,000 pages.
Conservatively.
But like she said, there's a manual for managed care. There's a manual for program integrity. There's a manual for physician building. So you have to go through and kind of find what you want.
Okay.
And then you go into that and you open it and it blows
It
up.
explodes.
Yeah, it explodes into all these subtopics.
But the most important thing that you all need to understand is that for anything that I have done or we have done for this company, that is the source document. If anybody comes to you and tries to sell you a bill of goods that, WebMD said this or this says that or da-da-da-da-da, we always base everything that we talk to other doctors with on this Pub 100. Always. There are source documents and then there's collateral documents. We will do CMS's Pub 100, the AMA, and the AHA. Because CMS listens to them. They own the codes. So the bottom line is CMS. But even below that, for CPT, AMA, for ICD, AHA.
And World Health Organization.
Well, they own the codes.
Yeah. But also the OIG. OIG website, look at their work plan. I look at their work plan every
The
year.
OIG bases their work plan on going after things that have not been followed in the Pub 100. So the basis of the work plan every year is where are we losing money and what's the rule that's being broken. So even OIG is based on those things.
Yeah. So even if I tell you something
Look it up.
Look it up in Pub 100.
And
Because-
then we can talk, okay.
Because then you can, what you do is you print that out and you go, Jeff.
Yeah,
I go,
what's
"Oh."
so important about Barbara and you guys, you are physicians going to speak to physicians.
Right,
I don't want you using tools that we have not seen.
right.
Do not pull stuff out of your ear
Mhm.
or any other orifice of your body that we have not seen. I don't want anything from JSA. They're in trouble.
Mm.
And I predicted that years ago. I don't want anything from JSA. I don't want anything from any place else you've worked at.
Mhm.
You have a tool you want to use, it gets vetted through this department, because this department will make sure it's right before it's out
Mhm.
in the field. And train anybody that you guys are training that is coming in, that message has to be given all the way down the line. Now, I have seen tools come back from other people that have not been vetted through here. Has to be,
Right,
because I'm responsible.
right, right.
My name is on the line.
Right, right.
So, message to everybody. I have not spoken to Girelli's about it or anybody else who's not here, but that's very important.
Right.
Yeah,
Actually, I'll bring that up as an agenda item on our meeting.
So, but this is everything you wanted to know. Almost everything you want to know.
Okay.
Because in the IOM, they will go into a concept that
Medicare, Medicaid services. Uh-huh.
Yeah, CMS. Mhm.
Medicare, Medicaid services.
national, right?
It's also spelled SEEAMESS.
What that means. Don't ask.
I spell it that way sometimes.
And I once accidentally said it that way in front of someone at a conference one time, who worked for CAMS.
That's all right, they know.
Yeah. So when you're in the IOMs and you're looking at the billing and the coding sections, they will mention the National Correct Coding Initiative, NCCI. There are now, I can't remember the last count, but I think it was over 20,000 edits. I can't remember them anymore. And what they're looking at are codes that should not be paired up. But they're also looking at a general topic which is called bundling and unbundling. So what it comes down to is if the service you perform is described by one code, you use that one code.
To simplify it further, in the fee-for-service model of care, we are paid upon the CPT code, which is why bundling and unbundling exists. So anyone who wants to game the system, for example, the one that we just did with the contrast and without the contrast, and that's the key. That word bundling is what triggered me. So you had a code that had both tests, that's bundled, with and without, that's bundled. And then you had a code for with, and you had a code for without. Okay, so if you bill the bundled code, you're going to get paid X amount of dollars for both tests. Versus if you bill each individual code, you're going to end up with more money
Right.
because you have unbundled the services.
Right.
That's illegal.
Oh.
That's what this is looking for.
Okay.
It's also looking for things that one of these things is not like the other. It's looking for things that
Right.
don't match.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what bundling. That's why someone will unbundle is to game the system and try to get more
More
money.
right,
Yeah.
right.
It's another way of upcoding.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why it's called the correct coding initiative, because what you're looking for is the exact code set to describe what was done without unbundling, but without going to a higher code that you don't satisfy. So you're looking for,
So they built in this kind of artificial intelligence as an edit to kick this stuff out.
Oh, this,
so
you said last time about the psychiatrist that he was doing a referring. It's like that. My history
well,
the last
okay,
time.
for example, with the drug test we looked at today,
Right.
and you know who we were talking about. What the manufacturers of this product did is, at one point, it was perfectly okay to have the dipsticks all around this cup, do a urine test, and for every dipstick
You build.
you billed,
Right.
and you got reimbursed for all of that. Well, and like I said, a couple days after he signed the contract and bought these cups, Medicare came out with a HCPCS code that replaced that.
Right.
And then I think it was just this year that now CPT has said, okay, we accept Medicare's reasoning, we're going to do the same thing. So at the time, it wasn't considered unbundling. If he tried to do it now,
Right.
it would be. Because at the time that was perfectly legal, he could make all the money he wanted on it. They didn't like it, they found out a way around it, and now we have the codes
Okay.
that once a day, as long as it's Class A, any Class A, you can test however many you want,
Right.
but that code gets used once. Okay, so that's, it's more complicated than that, but for the test, that's what you need to know, is that you take the most comprehensive code that includes the services that you did, but you don't go to the next one. So a lot of, in fact, the CPC exam is really a fee-for-service exam, for the most part. There are some MRA questions on it, but I'd say 95% of it is all about fee-for-service. So the IOMs, the NCCI, what else do I use? Really those. Oh, and then the other thing to Google is ICD, and then these days guidelines.
Coding guidelines.
Okay, or another way, ICD CM 10.
You actually don't need to because we have them. They're in our iDrive when we pull down the newest ones all the time. So
Yeah,
you don't have to Google them, we have them.
yeah. For me, I always forget where we keep them. So,
Yeah, I keep them everywhere. So what you can do is once you find them in there, save them where you know you'll be able to get them.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you have your surfaces. I will put them out there on the surface so that you can reference them any way you can.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing that we use, that Jeff may not use, that you have access to, believe it or not, is AHA, the American Hospital Association Coding Clinic. I have every single We have it on the server here, you can access it, and if you can't, you gotta talk to IT about getting access to it, but we have everything back to 1982. Every single excerpt from them, every single explanation or direction from them is on there. And we get new discs every quarter. So you have access to that on your computers.
But not in Surface, right? No. In our Surface, no, because we don't have 2X in our Surface.
Let's find out from Lex how you can get, not Lex, Sean Epling. Let's find out how you can get access to AHA on your surfaces.
Yeah, because we don't have 2X, so.
Yeah, that's an $1,100 a year membership. The thing is, you only one at a time can be in there, so when you go in and you look something up, get out.
Okay.
So other people can look up too. Okay, and that's where we got on the diabetic cataracts. There was direction in 1991, and I don't remember what quarter it was, but there was direction in 1991 that specifically spoke about the snowflake cataract, which is the diabetic cataract belonging only to type 1 diabetics. So that when a doctor is trying to call a senile cataract a diabetic cataract, it's wrong. And it will be wrong until and unless AHA comes out with new direction on those cataracts. So, you know, it's tricky little things like that that are out there, and that's what we use as our source document for coding. And that's what this uses. Okay, so the bottom line is the AHA when it comes to ICD.
If you look in your HCPCS book and in your ICD-9 books, you will see abbreviated copies of the guidelines. They are shortened, condensed. If you want the real deal, the copyrighted stuff, you have to go and get it. So the Pub 100. The Pub 100 stuff is in the HCPCS book. The ICD-9 guidelines, obviously, in the ICD-9 book. Like Linda said, and like when the first day we met, and I handed out stuff, I told you I only pull the best materials. I only pull from CMS. CMS will put out, they have a Medicare Learning Network. MLN. They will put out an MLN Matters, kind of like the HIPAA or the Quality Quick Tip or the MRA Minute.
Oh, that one.
Yes. So.
Hold it up for the camera.
So these are also valid source documents.
Because they come from CMS.
Okay. So that document that I gave you, this one, and also I gave you one about modifiers that are
59.
replacing 59.
Right.
And those are considered, we consider those source documents because they are from the highest authority. I can say what I want, and you turn around and hand me that, and I go, oh, I'm wrong.
Sorry.
Sorry. So that's why the reason I wanted to go over this was just so that if you do take an interest in this and you want to learn more, or you're wondering where did he come up with some of this crazy stuff, it's from once she opened this path, once Deborah France opened this path to me, it opened up a ton of information. And it's a very, very dry, boring read. It will put you to sleep. But
you'll have your answers.
you will have the right answer, and it's something that you can take to a doctor and say, sir, respectfully, I pulled this off of the CMS website this morning, and you can see right here it says that you need to sign your notes within 72 hours, or at least before you bill it.
I have that.
You can also say, sir, it does say it in terms of the, not for this test, but in terms of coding E&Ms, the code of the E&M, the overarching criteria is medical necessity. But not for this test. For this test, it's the 3 key components. And you can have that in writing from CMS, and they'll still yell at you, but at least you've given them solid materials.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've gotten over where I get all this weirdness from.
No, that's not where you get the weirdness from. The weirdness you were born with.
Okay. Yeah, alright, we'll leave that alone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing, like I said, is I probably need to design specific modules, like an E&M module, a modifier 59 module, a surgeries module, and then record those at separate sessions and future sessions. So what I'm going to do, and I wanted to announce this to the people who actually showed up today first, is that I will be looking for volunteers to attend those sessions. And I'll work around your time, and if you want me to do a session down in Tampa, or if you want the session up here, but I'll need volunteers, and we'll cover those specific things. We'll recover E&Ms and how I process them for this test. We'll go back over 59, which is one of the hardest modifiers to code with. We'll go back into, there'll be a basic lab module and an advanced lab module. The basic lab module will cover stuff like the panels, just, the surgical biopsies and pathologies. The advanced stuff will go into the really new types of labs for the cytopathology, the frozen embryos and sperm, and the in vitro seems to be moved there. So we'll talk about that there.
How soon are you going to do this? Some of us are taking this test in June.
Yeah, well, and I want to get this out of the way because I want to move on to ICD-10. So I don't want to wait a great deal of time. So I need to figure out in the next week, really, when these modules will be in place. So I'll put it out, I wanted to let the people who actually showed up know about that first. Unfortunately, Barbara, because for me, projecting is a little tough. So what it'll be a local thing unless I can figure out how to do conference calls easier. So that's what the volunteers was all about. So now to surgeries. Okay, we talked a little bit about this last time, but this is where we need to start with. Is the semicolon, okay? This is for this is for reading indented codes. Everything before the semicolon applies to all of the indented codes below it. So if we were to look at, I'm just going to hopefully hit colonoscopies.
Aplicas aquí.
Okay, if
Page.
right now I use page numbers, but next time I want you to use code numbers. So page number 286 in my book, code 45378.
Code 3,
Four,
7.
4, 5, 3.
45378, colonoscopy flexible, colonoscopy flexible.
So the colonoscopy flexible diagnostic, including collection of specimens by brushing or washing when performed. So that's how that code reads. 45379 is colonoscopy flexible with removal of foreign bodies.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you see how where the semicolon is, that whole part drops down to the next code. And it continues to do so until you hit the next one that is not indented. So this would apply all the way down. Keep going down. Actually applies to all of them.
Next page.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes all the way down to 45395, which is an excision of a totally separate thing.
We barely get grammar right.
Okay, so now you see how you're supposed to read the surgeries. Okay. Where did that thing go up? If you look at page 284,
Cambia lo que está después del punto y coma. En los otros códigos.
yeah, I don't like that.
Colonoscopy flexible, aquí cambia más. Colonoscopy flexible, removal, colonoscopy
Se hace el
flexible,
básico, se agregan todos.
Okay, occasionally they put stuff in here. They put stuff in here that I don't like. I want to talk about colonoscopies real quick. We'll get in more depth on them in a minute, in a while. But there's an easy way to tell if you're doing a colonoscopy. So you have a question mark here, but not really. You have the cecum.
Claro.
Cecum.
No, cecum.
You have. I think this is the splenic flexure.
Yes.
And I don't remember what
What is that?
Sigmund?
Rectum.
yeah, the sigmoid.
Oh, rectum.
Sigmoid rectum.
Okay, so if you only scope this far, it's proctosigmoid.
Endoscopy, okay.
Proctosigmoid.
If you scope this far,
Claro.
it's sigmoid. Now you have, if you scope to the cecum, it's colonoscopy. So the question is, and the colon is in the form of a question mark. How far did you go?
37.
That determines what type of procedure it is. So at every bend of the question mark, every major bend of the question mark is where you move from proctosigmoid to sigmoid to colonoscopy. So when we're looking at, for these quality measures, to submit stuff, I pull the colonoscopy report, and I look down, I see cecum, and I send it on. But that's how I do the initial part of coding a colonoscopy. It's very easy for me to remember.
It's going to get it in.
So if you start with the
Wait.
cecum,
No, you start in
No,
the
they don't.
if you
proctoscopy.
see the word cecum, you've done a colonoscopy.
Bingo.
The colonoscopy.
If you don't, if this is as far as they get, if they don't get here, they don't have a colonoscopy. If they get here, they've got a sigmoidoscopy. If they get here, they've got a proctosigmoid.
So then you calling getting in?
So colonoscopy has to have the word cecum.
There's also a ilia something valve there.
The valve thing.
If you see that, but they'll always put the cecum on there, on the note. And then after that, it's just a matter of looking and seeing what they did on the way out. Did they take biopsies? Did they do,
What did they do while they were in there?
did they remove some polyps? And that will determine the final code. But that's my cheat for that. Okay, so let's. I want to grab one thing. Okay, so Barbara, I'll send you these files. It's the NCCI edits that I passed out here. And I just want to make sure that there's nothing in here that pops out. Because there was something last night and it's escaping me this morning. HCPCS, Healthcare Common Procedure Coding System, consists of Level 1 CPT codes and Level 2 codes. CPT codes are, so the HCPCS, this is something to be careful on the test over. Because they can ask you for a HCPCS code, and depending on how they word it, it could actually be a CPT code. Because Medicare considers HCPCS Level 1 to be the CPT. HCPCS Level 2, which is what we refer to HCPCS in our standard the standard way we refer to stuff, is your HCPCS book.
Okay.
So Level 1 is